All right, and three, two, one, and action. Welcome everybody to the Dakota Podcasting Experience. I'm Tony Tubes, and today I'm very honored to have my first guest on, and her name is Sherri Keenan. Okay, today I'm talking about Morgan Bauer, and Morgan Bauer was a 19-year-old girl who went missing in the app from she left Aberdeen and then went missing shortly thereafter that, and she's been gone for 3 years, and it was February 26th, 2016 when she that was the last communication that anybody had with her. And every year it seems it goes by, and every single year it seems that when it comes around again, people start talking about it, and then it just kind of fades away. And I've always wanted to do something on one of my platforms to bring Morgan Bauer's name out there, and to just, in my own personal way, try to put out a little bit of hope and a little bit of information to everybody about it. And so, Morgan was just another girl who was going out into the world to find her own adventures. At 19, she decided to move from her home in Aberdeen, South Dakota, to Atlanta to stay with some people she met online. And Sherri, if I'm mistaken on any of this, you be sure to correct me when I'm done here. Um, she made it to her destination, but just a few days later, on February 26, 2016, she vanished. It's now around the 3 year anniversary of her disappearance, every lead possibly turning to dead ends. And her mother, Sherri Keenan, as I said, still continues to search for her, regardless of the fact that her case is now quite cold. Sherri joins me as my first guest on the Dakota Podcasting Experience. Sherri, thank you so much for being on the show, and I'm honored to use my platform to help you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna get into this, and I'm gonna ask some questions that I hope you've never been asked before, but I hope that they stimulate a conversation, and I hope that they do something. And I do apologize to Sherri and everybody else. This is my first interview, like really, so I'm sorry if I'm quite amateur at it. But my first question is it's more or less something that you've probably done 100 times, but I would, um, if you could kind of quickly run down the chain of events that happened leading up to her disappearance. Kind of the start and then to the disappearance of it.
Yes. So Morgan got on a plane and she left for Atlanta, and she arrived on February 13th. And by the 25th, um, that was the last time she was heard from. And then her best friend came to me a few weeks later and said that she hadn't heard from Morgan. So I just, from that point, had to go and explain to Atlanta that she was missing and she had arrived there. So I had to first backtrack from Minneapolis airport, where she was taken by a friend, given $20. She had an H&R Block card with her that she was waiting to get $615 put on. And when she arrived in Atlanta, she was staying with people that she had met on Craigslist, with a man and two other people, and she was going to be their roommate, and clean their house until until she could pay rent. But the next day, her stuff was put outside, and they told her not to come back. Well, from there, she met a gentleman who helped her get into a hotel in Lawrenceville, and then she stayed in Gainesville at another hotel, and then she started working at Top of Gainesville, which is a strip club. We're just, guessing that it was just a way to make money. She didn't know what to do. She didn't really have anything. And then from there, she meets a couple. That afternoon of the 25th, the woman goes with Morgan and they go to this Club Tees. They apply for jobs, they get hired, but they have to first get a license. So they didn't start, but Morgan had told this girl that she would pay for her license. Um, we know that they both went to Top of Gainesville that night. We know that they left together. We know that Morgan met up with this woman's boyfriend. We know that from there, they're definitely the last people we know to see her. Morgan talks to the man who helped her get these hotels briefly on the phone, texts him and says that she'll talk to him in the morning. He texts her at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then again at noon. No response. The phone pings back to Porterdale, which is the town that this couple was last at. And they've given a couple of different stories, but they say that they left her with a gentleman in a green Eclipse, they believe, and at the Sitco in Covington, Georgia, and that's all the information that I have.
And how many personal hours did you search for her? I mean, I know that you went down there and you searched for her like numerous times.
All of that information that I just told you, we got the first night I was in Atlanta. So that amount of information took hours to get. The rest of the time that we were there, I was there for a little over a month, and we were out every day. You know, I don't know the hours, and since then, I don't know the time. I couldn't tell you the time. You know, missing Morgan sometimes it's like a part-time job.
Absolutely. I can definitely understand that. And I'm sorry to kind of bring this up right now. I should have brought this up at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about Morgan.
Oh, well, she's very outgoing, very funny. She has the biggest heart. You know, she during school she would go have lunch with the kids with Down syndrome and things like that, would defend them from bullies, and that was just her. She was the life of the party. You just could not. I mean, she walked in the room, that was it. It was over, you know. And so she was just everything, you know. Just everything.
And how was your guys's relationship before she took off and went down to Atlanta?
Well, when she was growing up, we were very close, you know. We were ridiculously close. You know, she told me too much sometimes. But you know, she went to Philadelphia with her boyfriend, and she had come back. They had, you know, had a disagreement. She came back in July, or it was August, end of August, I'm sorry. And you know, she kind of wanted to party and do her own thing. They had been together since for a couple of years in high school, even, you know, so 3 years. She wanted to do her own thing. She was 19, and you know, I had set house rules. She didn't want to follow those. So she had a couple of choices. Go to your grandparents where you can live for free. She had, you know, opportunities to go to college. She just, you know, she wanted to figure out what she wanted to do. And she went back to the job where she had worked for a couple of years before that at Minerva's as a in as a server and in catering. And so she just went back to what, you know, kind of what she was doing and spending time with her friends. And, you know, it seemed like a good place, you know, for her to try to get a start and see what life was like. Aberdeen's a lot safer, obviously, than Atlanta, Georgia.
Right. Well, and I can definitely, yeah, I can definitely understand because when I was 18, 19, I was traveling around the country doing hippie festivals and making my parents wonder, God knows what's going on with him. And a couple times had the cops waiting for me when I come back. So I know all about that. And that's, so, I mean, yeah, I can understand that. It just kind of the situation. And that's the thing is like, for me, Aberdeen right now, and I see you have moved down to Florida since. And Aberdeen, to me right now, I live in Redfield, and Aberdeen is a very kind of, it's really kind of dark for me, just because my mom and my grandparents who all lived there passed away, and so it's just I don't really know many people there, but everywhere I look, it's just constant memories, and I can only imagine that's what it's like for you too.
Right. Right. And and not just that. I mean, there's so many memories that, you know, I just have learned what I need to learn from Aberdeen, South Dakota. And I'm really happy I'm really blessed in my life here in Florida. So I just have no words to express my gratitude and for the people here. It's a very different experience than I've had in the past, and the support and love of just everyone around you it's an amazing feeling, really.
Is there, because Florida is significantly closer to Atlanta than Aberdeen is,
5-minute flight.
that kind of nudge you in that direction too? Like, hey, I'll be closer to where she very well could possibly be.
Well, right. It's a 45-minute flight from here to Atlanta. And I have family here. My brother is here. And so it was just a good opportunity, a good place to start and be close to any possibility. I'm right here. Um, and her father's still in Aberdeen. It's a very small community, as you know. All she'd have to do is say, "Where's my mom?" in the middle of Main Street, and somebody would point her in the right direction. So I'm not really concerned about her not being able to find me if I'm not there. And I just really needed the opportunity to keep growing myself so I can be healthy when Morgan is found, because I'm assuming that in whatever state she's in, she won't be as healthy as she should be. And so I need to be able to be there for her also. So I have to take care of myself. And so this was a good opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. Um, this is kind of a tough question, but I really wanted to ask, and I'm really sorry to ask this, but do you think that there is a different view on Morgan's case because of some of the choices that she made leading up to her disappearance and the circumstances, in which she met all these people and everything? Like, do you think that it would be looked at different and it would have been handled different if she just went disappearing from a mall or something, or disappear, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, I understand where people see that maybe view because of that lifestyle. I understand it. Number one, I wanted to first say that Morgan wasn't a dancer, wasn't a drug user, things like that. Those weren't part of her life. We're talking 2 weeks before that. Okay, so these weren't part of her life. This is just something that kind of events that just happened and led to this happening. Number two, I want to say that people don't choose to go missing. People don't choose to be trafficked. People don't choose to have bad things happen to them. And it doesn't, and in my platform with Morgan at this point is to really point out that people's lifestyles and their choices have nothing to do with their going missing. Whether they're missing an indigenous or they're LGBTQ or whatever, whatever, a dancer who's been in the lifestyle for 10 years. It doesn't matter. They're people who need help, and we need to share that information. Is it something that people may look down upon? Yes. But again, this was something that happened within 2 weeks of her getting there. It wasn't a lifestyle that she was in. It was something happened.
Yeah. Well, and I just know that online there was, some internet trolls that were going after it, and like wasn't there even like a Facebook page set up or something like that that was like, Morgan's not missing or something like that.
There were several Facebook pages. There's still one out there, and I don't even, excuse me, remember the name of it, but they're they're still out there, and you know it was all started with one thing, one domino effect, and it just kind of led to everything else. And people just don't understand what the internet is really like. I've had a real fast crash course on internet, and how people can be, and what the truth is, and that people do, for some reason, like it when other people are hurting, and they will do things to cause pain. And unfortunately, that happened and does still happen with trolls from time to time, um, throughout this process. So you just have to look for the facts, and that's what matters. And I always just want to keep saying over and over again, and the fact is, she's still missing. It's been 3 years, and and there somebody knows something.
Well, and that's very interesting that you say that, because one of my questions was, um, oh, let me see here. Have you ever thought, when it came to some of the people who were around her when she was last sighted, has the thought ever come into your head, like, well, the cops asked them, but now I want to ask them, and I want, and in my eyes, like, if I'm talking about me and one of my children, I'd be like, the cops asked them, they might have lied, they might have not, but now, I mean, just being a father, I just think to myself, now I'm going to ask him, and I'm going to ask him hard, and I'm sure that that's come across in your mind. Not saying you would act on it, but I mean, that's definitely got to be fighting with you. Like, maybe somebody didn't take take a lead all the way or something.
I no, yes, I know who they are. I was there when we got all the information from them. I can tell you what they look like. I know exactly who they are. I recently spoke to the woman. She had a child, and I reached out again. Have I reached out in anger? No. Nope, I have not. I haven't reacted in anger as much as I possibly can. With the police, I really did at the beginning, because I didn't understand a lot of why they weren't searching, and so there was a lot of battling within myself to try to control things I couldn't control. So now I'm just doing what I can to be mindful and peaceful, and just keep pushing forward. Just keep making it make sense. Just keep saying the same words over and over again. I have thought over the last few days, what if I just told people who they were, but and how that would destroy their life. But if they did something to Morgan, don't they deserve to have their life destroyed? I go through those struggles, but ultimately I have to live with myself later, and my future self has to look back and approve of the choices that I make now. And I can't imagine destroying someone else's life, even if it meant to find Morgan. So that's how I just keep going.
That's honorable, man. Like, that's a lot more self-restraint than a lot of parents could say they have. And I applaud you for that. I really do. That's I just look at you, and I think to myself, my God, what if I was in her situation, and just you're obviously hurt, but you're handling it like a rock star. And if I went missing, I would, it'd be nice to know that somebody like you was out there looking for me. And I hope that, if anybody that knows Morgan and knows Morgan's safe, or Morgan herself is watching this, I would hope that she, knows how awesome of a mom she has, regardless of any of the petty crap, that might have happened beforehand. And that was another thing I just wanted to tell you, was like, throughout this whole thing, like, there's so many parents out there that would be like, you need to come home. you need to, but through this whole thing, you're like, just call me, just text me, just give me some, yeah, just give me some iota of a chance that I know that you're out there, and that you're safe, and that, I mean, because 3 years is a long time. That's a long time.
Right. Just proof of life, really. There doesn't have to be anything. She can just, if she's happy and healthy and she is where she wants to be, and this is her choice, obviously, I would never want to take away her joy. That's not my job, but my job is to make sure she's safe. If not me, who? So, yeah, I won't stop until I know she's safe. And that's pretty easy to do. She would just have to tell any law enforcement officer, there's a toll-free number out there, 855 Morgan B. She could simply make that phone call. We want to make sure she's identified. Of course, anything, a picture with the newspaper, you could just post it on Missing Morgan and create a fake account and just, I don't know, something. But I would obviously need to make sure that that wasn't somebody just holding her there either. I mean, there's so much out there that you don't even understand when it comes to what people will do. But anything simple, but I won't stop until.
Well, again, Sherri, I want to say thank you, and if if I can, I would love to have you on, every year, to just continue it going further and everything. I would love to just, until she's found. And if this is all that I can do in my position, then that's something I'm very honored to do, to talk about her, tell her story. And there's a Facebook page out there called Missing Morgan, and her name's Morgan Bauer again. And that was, what was that toll free number?
Is 855 Morgan B.
Okay, and I'll probably just scroll that across the screen this whole time, so you guys will have plenty of opportunity to know who to contact and everything if you have any information. And Sherri, you said something about, I honestly didn't know that there was a reward out there for her. I think I might have once upon a time, but you said something about how the reward is still intact and still in place.
It is. Just a couple of things I just wanted to say before we close. One, anybody who says that they can't imagine how I deal with these, I always tell them, don't imagine that. Just imagine her coming home. Two, her birthday is April 13th, and she'll be 23 years old. And number three, yes, her reward. The tip line offered a $2,000 reward in 2016 when all of this started. In October of last year, I raised the reward from $2,000 to $5,000 for her birthday in honor of her, and just doing anything that I can. I am raising the reward from $5,000 to $10,000 for the safe, just to bring her home, to find her, anything that leads us to her being brought home. And thank you, with all the gratitude in my heart, for doing this. And yes, I would love to come back next year. And I'm just really, truly thankful that you helped and really honored myself to be your first guest. And thanks for doing this with me.
Absolutely. If, like I said, if it's all that I can do, then if I can use the couple hundred people that watch me every week, or to spread it out, and they'll tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and so on. And if I can say that I helped a little bit in bringing her home, I'm definitely happy for that. I'm happy to have you on. Thank you so much, Sherri.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we're gonna get going, guys. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to the Dakota Podcasting Experience. My name is Tony Tubes. You can hit us up on Twitter hit me up on Twitter at Tony Tubes Dakota Podcast at Dakota Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. If you need to email me, and that's DakotaPodcasting@gmail.com. And you guys can hit me up if you guys want to talk to me about Morgan, if you guys want to, give me any information, I'm totally down. We do have the 800 number on the bottom of the screen right now for you, and is like I said, the Missing Morgan page is on Facebook, and Sherri is a very big part of it, so you'll be able to get a hold of her, no doubt. So that's Sherri Keenan. We're talking about Morgan Bauer, and from everybody here at the Dakota Podcasting Experience, we really hope that she comes home soon. So thank you again, Sherri.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time on the Dakota Podcasting Experience.